Hey, what's up everyone, this is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review I want to look at the SH Figuarts Perfect Cell figure from the Dragon Ball Z line. Pretty cool figure, I'm just going to say that right off the bat. It's probably the best Dragon Ball figure that the SH Figuarts brand has put out so far. He's really got just about everything you could want in a figure. So before we get into the actual figure himself, let's look at accessories. The first Dragon Ball character to come with an energy blast effect. This one is probably the biggest one we'll ever get. I know the Super Saiyan 3 Goku had the energy rings that kind of circled around him, but this is an actual energy blast for Cell to shoot. It comes in multiple pieces. First you have the actual blast itself, which is translucent plastic with a little bit of blue shading on it. However, I know it's supposed to look white, and obviously it does look kind of white, but it's just really kind of milky, and it doesn't look that great to me. I think it would have been much better to have it more of a clear color with a little bit more shading. But that's just kind of nitpicking. It still is pretty cool that they included it. It comes with the standard SH Figuarts stand. Everything about it is just about normal, but it has a peg hole on it so you can actually peg it into the stand. And then the stand itself comes with this bottom part, which comes in 3 pieces. These both come off, and these are supposed to be like ripples in the air or energy blast, whatever, wind, that are picking up little bits of dirt and taking it away from the ground that is being blown away from the blast. So that's pretty cool. Overall, it's not as cool as I hoped it was going to be, the blast itself. I mean, this whole little bunch of parts right here, it just looks kind of awkward, but it's still pretty good. And if you have him posed shooting the blast, obviously that's not how you would pose him to do that, but if you had him doing that, it does look okay. It's not bad. I was kind of hoping it'd look a little bit more, I don't know, maybe realistic is the word I'm thinking of. I don't know. It's still really cool, and I'm definitely happy to have it. It's just not, it's not really tickling my fancy, as some might say. So anyway, there's the energy blast effect. Let's get that out of the way and look at the other accessories. Just like Piccolo, he has the folded arms. And I guess I'm pretty sure they're saying that the new Vegeta figure is going to have these as well. So that's pretty cool. But so the arms just pop off at the shoulder bicep joint, and these replace it so you can have him with his arms crossed. And you can kind of see what it would look like right there. I'm not going to do it on camera, but they just pop out. And I'm told it's easier to swap these out than it is the Piccolo ones, but I can't say because I haven't done it yet. But there they are, nicely detailed. The other accessories include 2 alternate heads. So the regular head, or face I guess I should say, is that kind of smirky face right there. The next one is kind of just a grim face with not much expression on it at all. And the third one is the angry, yelling, eating, whatever face you want to call that, with some extra shading around the bridge of the nose. So that's pretty cool. The mouth is nicely painted as well. So very good job on the head there. And how you take out the head or the face pieces, all you have to do is pull down on the face and it swaps out. Super easy, probably the easiest out of all the Dragon Ball figures. So you just swap them out like that and pop it on. The head is kind of loose on the neck joint, but I'll get to that in a little bit. The other alternate parts we have, well, first we have the 2 fist hands that come on the figure. Then you have 2 kind of semi-clenched fists, not clenched, but open, but bent finger hands. Then you have these 2 hands. One is like, kind of like a, I don't even know what you would call that, but there's one of them, and the other one that is next to that one in the packaging is this, similar to the last 2, but kind of just more different kind of bent finger things. I don't know how to describe these hands. So you describe them however you like, but that's what they look like. And then he has 2 of the open palm hands, like that. The fingernails are pretty nicely painted. They're about the same quality as the Piccolo hands. These are actually considerably similar to the Piccolo hands. I wouldn't be surprised if they are the same mold, but I can't say for sure. But there are the hands. Nice shading on all of them, by the way. This guy actually has good shading all the way around. So that covers all of the accessories. So he's got 3 alternate sets of hands, so a total of 4 sets of hands, 3 faces, an extra set of arms for the crossed arm effect, and the energy blast. So good amount of accessories so far. Now let's look at the figure. He stands to the top of his head itself about 6 1/4 inches, and to the top of the hat part 7 inches. So he's got really good size to him. Overall, just a great looking figure. He's got great display values and qualities, and he's just overall really nicely done. The paint app on this guy is really good. They're shading just about everywhere, which I do appreciate. I know some figures don't get that from these imported lines, but I do really appreciate it when they do, so that's great. Great example there is on the thigh. You can see the dark, the low lights, and the highlights. And then of course all that nice fine paint work for the speckling, if you want to call it that, everywhere that's around. It's really clean and really nicely done. So the paintwork is phenomenal. You already saw the faces up close, but they look great too. And then like I said, there's shading everywhere. The feet, those little accent lines, and more shading throughout those. Paintwork is spot on. The black parts have a little bit of a gloss to them to make them a little bit more accurate to the anime. Or maybe it was like that in the comics too, I don't know. But it was like that in the cartoon, so that's cool. So they did a really good job just playing with the different sheens of the plastic. The sculpt is exactly the way you would want it to be. These are all textured. All the speckling is textured inside his torso, his hips, and his shoulders. He's got that wrinkly part there. So the sculpt, paint, everything is just really top notch. If you look under his wings, he's got that little stinger thing. That's sculpted wonderfully. It probably could break, so be careful with that. But really just everything is what you could ask for and more. As far as articulation goes, the head is on a standard Figuarts joint. So it's like a ball disc. It's got the hinge built into it. And of course it rotates around, and then this is a peg itself, so the head can move on that. Now mine, the head is kind of loose on that peg. Not really loose to the point where it doesn't function properly, but it comes out really easily. There's not too much of a snap. So if yours is like mine, be careful with that. You don't want to pick him up by his head probably, because he could take a dive. Other than that, it's okay though. The neck is articulated separately, just like many of the other figures, though you cannot get much out of it really. It's just going to be for kind of like little gestures and things like that if you're really getting into the detailed posing. And we'll leave the head on, if I can. There we go. The shoulders, same as all the other figures really. They've got that ball socket in there with that little, that looks like the joint right there, but it's not. That's just kind of like a little sleeve to hide the joint. So he's got the ball joint in there. And then this is basically a ball disc like Marvel Legends, to where the shoulder can just pivot on that joint there, and of course rotate this way. The shoulder armor is connected to the joint itself, and it has a hinge on there, so it's really not going to get in the way of any posing, and if you rotate the arm, it rotates with it. So that's nicely done. He's got a bicep swivel built in right at the shoulder joint. That's also where the arms pop off to put these arms on. So you can just see how that would connect. It's just really a peg that they snap onto. So when you have the regular arms on there, there's a bicep swivel. He's got double jointed elbows, but I have a problem with mine in that the upper joint of the elbow, which is the part in the bicep, doesn't have barely any movement at all. For the record, the elbow pads do come off. So if they pop off, you can just stick them back on or glue them on if you want to. But that joint there, I only have the one part that's useful, and I've heard that's the case for other people too. I've heard that some people are saying they have full range of motion on both parts. I don't know, but mine really doesn't have much range of motion at all. That's about it for that upper joint. Let me put that elbow pad back on. The wrist has the same type of joint as the neck, so it's a ball disc, so that rotates around. And it has the hinge, and then this is obviously a ball peg, so the hand has a little extra movement on that as well. So full range of motion in the wrists. This upper torso joint is at least a single ball peg, could be a double. I don't know, I'm not going to pop it apart to check because it could break. So either way, it doesn't really matter what it is. All that matters is how it works, and it goes from side to side just fine. Front to back, pretty good range of motion. Not a huge amount, but it's pretty good. And of course it rotates on there just a little bit, not too much, because you can get the rotation down in the lower joints, but it does have good range of motion otherwise. And that does affect the wings. That's all connected to the top part. So while we're there, we'll talk about the wings. They're on a joint similar to the wrists and the neck, where they have a hinge that lets them fold up and down this way. They can rotate on it just a little bit, and then of course they go up and down like that. So pretty good range of motion for the wings. Not a huge amount, but they do move. Now this torso joint is just like all the other Dragon Ball figures. It's got a ball peg going into the upper and into the lower, so we've got a full range of motion all the way around. And it does pop up and down like all the other ones too. You can see there's a little bit of a gap there if you push it up or pull it up, so I would leave it down in place, but you do have the full range of motion if you want it. So plenty of posability there. The hips are exactly the same as before. They have that kind of sliding joint in there. It's really just a hinge, but that's in there, and that's on a ball peg. So the hip itself has plenty range of motion on there, and then there's a thigh swivel built in at the top of his boot thing right there. The knees are just standard double jointed knees, so that's really nice with the kneecap on there, the knee armor. Good posability, it looks good. And then the feet are just on a standard ball peg. Well, it's a double jointed ball peg, but still double ball peg. It's because of the boots, it's very limited, but you do get a little bit of posability out of the ankle because of, or not because of, but because there are the double ball peg that gives you pretty good range of motion. So you can get a little bit of an ankle rocker out of it, and a little bit of forward and back, not too much, but probably enough to get most poses done. And finally it has the toe joint. So pretty good posability on this guy. Really, you couldn't ask for much more posability, and with all of the accessories and the detail in the sculpt and the paintwork, there's really nothing to complain about with this guy. He's just about as good as he could get. So I'm super pleased with it, and I'm pretty sure anybody else that has it or is planning to get it either is or will be pleased as well. So there is the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Perfect Cell figure, and I definitely highly recommend it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more reviews, and in the meantime, keep collecting.